Inline filters are a simple but powerful tool to allow us to quickly control and consolidate the data that we're analyzing in the data table and its graphs. And one thing I want to point out, when we first log in, we're presented with the admin interface, at the bottom of which we'll see the filter manager. The filter manager has some advanced profile filters that will restrict some of the data that can get into the profiles. When we talk about inline filters, we're not talking about this filter or profile filters at all. Rather, we're talking about the filters at the bottom of each of the data tables in the reports. Let's take a look. As we move here to the Languages report underneath the Visitors tab, we can see all the different languages of people who are visiting our site. If I was interested in analyzing just the Spanish language visitors, I could click on ES. The problem is that different browsers report Spanish in a different way, and I want to capture all the Spanish language users. So what I can do is come down here to the filter at the bottom of the report, and I can type in ES and click Go. And this will capture all the different lines containing ES. From here, I'm able to evaluate them individually and see how many visits came from each different version. And across the top, I can see the metrics for all of them summed up together. So I can see there were 1,400 visits in total from Spanish users on my site who stayed for an average of 1.2 pages per visit, a minute 19, and 90% of them were new visits. There are tons of use cases for this type of filtering inside of these reports. Let's take a look at some more. If we click over to the Traffic Sources tab and go to the All Traffic Sources report, now, we're all familiar with Google as an organic search engine, but what if I want to see all the different organic search engines out there that are bringing traffic to my site? I can simply type in organic and click Go, and it'll give me a list of all the different organic search engines across the globe that are bringing traffic to my site. As we can see here, this is the first 10 out of 21 total organic sources. What if I want to see all the different versions of Google that are bringing traffic to my site? If I type in Google, click Go, I'm of course going to see the Google organic search engine, but I'm also going to see google.com referrals to my site from the partners page. I'm going to see Google Images, Google Mail, aka Gmail, and all the other different versions of Google sources that are coming to my site. I can also decide to see non-Google sources. In other words, I want to see every different type of source except for Google. In that case, I simply switch the option here to excluding Google and click Go. Now, in this case, there were 37,995 visits from 576 non-Google sources. This type of filtering can also be extremely useful when we talk about keywords. Let's switch over to the Keywords report. When we talk about keywords that bring people to my site, we can break these into two basic different kinds of keywords. Keywords that indicate someone was already familiar with my site, my brand, my company, or more generic keywords where someone was not familiar with my site. For example, if you typed in the word web share or any derivative of that, you're already familiar with me. But if you typed in something like Google Consulting Services or Google Analytics Training, then you might not be familiar with my brand, and rather I'm being introduced for the first time. If I want to analyze those users and those keywords, I can come down here and I can filter to exclude any visits that came on the keyword web share. As you can see, I've taken web share out of the list, but the problem here is that I still have different variations. And some people type in web space share. The good news is this filter box is more powerful than it appears. You can actually use regular expressions, which are a type of programming language, to put in multiple things here and tell it exactly what you want to see. For example, the regular expression for the word or, the logical or, is a pipe character, which is found above the return key. So if I put in web share, pipe, web, or share, and click Go, it's going to match on web share or web or share and exclude those from the report. So here I have a list of my non-branded keywords, in which we can see sent a total of almost 17,000 visits through 11,865 of these keywords. Now it's possible that I want to download this list of keywords for more analysis. Maybe I want to bid on them on AdWords. Maybe I want to talk to my SEO consultant about them. Even if I were to go and select the number of rows down here to 500, it would take me a long time to download 11,865 keywords, 500 at a time. Luckily, we have a trick. We can go up here, and right before the hashtag, if I type in the word ampersand limit equals 15,000 and hit enter, it'll reload the page. Now the data table down here will remain the same. But what I've done is told Google Analytics that I want to be able to download up to 15,000. Now, unfortunately, it reset my filter here, so I'm going to have to re-enter web share, pipe, web, pipe, share, click Go. Make sure I select excluding, click Go. And now when I export this, click on CSV, I'll get a file that I can open up that will show all 11,800 some versions of this particular keyword, plus all of the metrics that go along with it. So in this case, we have percent new visits, average time on site, visits, my goals, etc. All this can be used for offline analysis or used for AdWords, SEO, all kinds of different types of keyword analysis. Switching back to our analytics reports, if we scroll down, we see that there's also another option available to us, known as the advanced filter. The advanced filter allows us to take this filter box and apply more conditions to it. Now, we've already done one here where the keywords were excluding web share or web or share. What if I wanted to figure out which of those particular visits saw 2 or more pages per visit? If I click on pages per visit and then select greater than or equal to 2, click apply filter, I can see here the keywords that are non-branded where pages per visit were greater than or equal to 2. In this case, I've brought my list from 11,000 down to just 2,400. Now that's interesting, but that's not the true power of advanced filters. The true power of advanced filters when it comes to rate. Let's flip back to the Google Store example for a second and take a look at what we consider our best keywords. Here we're in the Keywords report under the Traffic Sources tab. Now we often get this question, what are my best keywords for this site? And of course, the first thing we need to consider is based on what metric? Now we know the bounce rate is a great metric, and we can see which keywords bring visitors who bounce. In other words, the keywords brought someone to my site who wasn't interested in the content that I had versus keywords who brought someone who was interested, who saw my content and decided to stick around. Now that's interesting, but since I have the ability to do e-commerce on this site, I can take that one step further. I don't have to infer visits that were going to bring money. I can just go ahead and look and see which ones were valuable. So I flip over here to the e-commerce tab. First, let's expand our date range to make sure we capture all the keywords that have come over the last few months. And what we're looking for here are keywords where people come in and are likely to spend money. In other words, they have a high e-commerce conversion rate. They have a high ability to convert people who come in on those keywords. Now, it seems simple enough. We have that metric here. We simply go over to e-commerce conversion rate and we sort. What we're going to get is a descending list here with the highest start. So all of these keywords here at 100% conversion rate. In other words, they're a high ability to convert people who come in on those keywords. The problem with this list is that 100% of these visitors were just one visit. In other words, someone came in one time and they happened to convert. So I don't necessarily want to run off and tell my AdWords folks that they should run out and bid a really high price on bicycle speaker bag MP3 player just because one person came to my site and converted. I'm interested in keywords that have the power to convert over and over, that are going to bring substantial value. If only one person has shown up over the course of the last year on this particular term, I can't claim that that's necessarily my best keyword. So what I'm really trying to say here is, show me the best keywords that weren't one-time flukes. The way we tell Google Analytics that is through this use of advanced filters. We've already sorted based on e-commerce conversion rate. What we need to do now is put on an additional stipulation. We need to say, show me those keywords, but also only if their visits were greater than or equal to, let's just say 10. When we apply this new filter, we see now that our conversion rate drops considerably. We no longer have those star performers at 100%, but we can be sure that everyone in this list has come at least 10 times. So we're seeing ones here, Google Android apparel, Google Wave t-shirts. These are folks who not only come to the store repeatedly, but have a relatively high conversion rate. You could legitimately say that this is a list of our best keywords. Now again, we've got more than 1,500 here, so we could use our ampersand limit trick to download all 1,500 at once. Advanced filters and inline filters are incredibly powerful tools you will use over and over again in your analysis. You will find advanced filters particularly powerful anytime you're sorting by a rate to strip out those cases with just a handful of visits.